Suddenly, a cargo aircraft rapidly descends before mysteriously disappearing from radar just outside Vancouver. But what has happened?
Calling out Mayday. Calling out Mayday.
Before starting, I just want to say that this video contains video creations intended to illustrate the events described. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, the animation might not perfectly represent the actual sequence of events. The information presented is based on available resources and official reports whenever possible, but it may contain some inaccuracies, omissions, or interpretation errors. April 13, 2015. Early morning covers Vancouver International Airport under intense non-stop raining with low clouds reducing visibility to dangerous level. Weight and environment where flying depends entirely on instruments and crew precision, and even so, as happened every day in aviation, operations continue without stopping. Meanwhile, in a remote area of the airport, far from passengers and the bustle of commercial flight, a small cargo aircraft prepares for departure. A Swearingen Metro II operated by Carson Air, an aircraft known for its efficiency but also remain demanding of the hands of pilots, especially during critical phases such as takeoff, where an aviation can escalate quickly. Its destination is Prince George, a routine route carrying no passengers, only mail and package, an apparently simple flight that should present no complications, one of those flights that really attract attention, but this time it will be different. Inside the cockpit, two pilots perform the final checks while the sound of rain hits the fuselage and the aircraft system comes to life. The captain, a pilot with thousands of hours of experience and familiar with the Metroliner II, occupies the left seat, while on the right seat is the first officer, with a considerable amount of flight hours, but limited experience on this specific model. A difference that under normal conditions might not be relevant, but under pressure and in a hostile environment can become a determining factor. The atmosphere is apparently calm but filled with concentration. The instruments indicate normal values. Weight and balance are within limits and everything appears ready for departure.
Cargo ready?
Yes, everything is within limits, although the weather doesn't look very good. Visibility is low and there are quite a few clouds. Are you sure we'll be able to depart like this?
Yes, it's nothing out of the ordinary. We've seen worse conditions. We'll get it out without any problems.
That confidence, common among experienced pilots, can be a strength, but it can also hide risks when conditions deteriorate. Minutes later, the aircraft begins taxiing slowly towards the runway. Its lights illuminating the wet pavement that reflects every flash into darkness. Visibility remains limited and the rain gives no relief. The environment forcing complete reliance on procedures and cockpit discipline.
Carson 66, clear for takeoff, runway 08 right, winds 150 at 4, have a good flight.
The aircraft lines up with the runway. Ahead of them, only faint lights appearing into the rain. The engines increase power and the Metroliner II begins its takeoff roll, accelerating over a slippery surface where every parameter is critical.
Airspeed alive. B1, rotate.
After departing Vancouver International Airport, the Swearingen Metroliner climbs without apparent anomalies, separating the runway under heavy rain and quickly entering low visibility conditions. During the first few seconds, everything appears normal. The aircraft maintains its trajectory and begins moving away from the airport as it starts its climb.
Passing 5,000 feet. Positive speed. Everything normal.
However, that normality does not last long. As the aircraft continues climbing, performance begins to degrade slowly but steadily. The rate of climb decreases and the space begins to drop without a noise cause. What initially appeared to be a normal takeoff rapidly turns into an uncertain situation.
Captain, we're not climbing like we should.
Yeah, it feels heavy.
The speed is dropping.
The situation rapidly deteriorates. The aircraft loses speed, loses lift and begins descending. The wings vibrate, indicating an approaching stall. The contrails become heavy and the aircraft's behavior makes it evident that it can no longer sustain a safe flight. The workload increases sharply and the pilots face an emergency evolving faster than they can process. At this point, any error in perception, judgment, or reaction can be decisive.
We're entering a stall!
The aircraft rapidly descends still inside terrain at a dangerously low altitude where any recovery attempt is practically impossible. There is no way to recover. The aircraft ascends way too quickly, reaching extreme speeds that a small aircraft cannot withstand. Hours later, rescue teams manage to reach the impact site. What they find is devastating. The wreckage of the aircraft is scattered among trees and uneven terrain. With no single survivors, the impact was extremely violent and confirms what had already been feared. There are no survivors. The investigation is assigned to the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, whose specialists begin analyzing every fragment of the aircraft in search of answers. But from the very beginning, they face a critical problem: the lack of direct information. This aircraft was not equipped with complete voice recorders or extensive flight data recordings, significantly limiting the exact reconstruction of the final seconds. Without clear voice recordings or complete flight parameters, investigators must rely on indirect evidence such as the aircraft wreckage, weather conditions, operational history, and the crew's medical analysis. Initially, multiple scenarios are considered, ranging from performance problems to loss of control at low altitude, but no single theory is able to fully explain the accident on its own. During the post-mortem examinations, a detail emerged that changed the focus of the investigation. The captain had pulled in his system at a significant level, above what is permitted to operate an aircraft. This finding introduced a critical human factor into the accident analysis. Investigators examining the captain's story more deeply and find rigors related to alcohol consumption, suggesting a problem that might not have been detected in the time through medical controls. Although it's impossible to determine exactly how it affected his performance in the final seconds, the presence of alcohol raises doubts about his reaction capability, judgment, and decision-making during a critical phase of flight. Despite these findings, many questions remain unanswered. Without clear cockpit recordings or complete flight data, it is impossible to reconstruct exactly what occurred. Investigators cannot confirm precisely which decisions were made or at what moment, only establish probable scenarios based on partial evidence. Another relevant factor is the relationship between the pilots. An experienced captain and a first officer with experience on this aircraft model. In aviation, this difference can influence decision making, especially under pressure, where questioning the captain may become difficult, and when the available time is minimal, that difference can become decisive. The final report does not establish a single definitive cause, but it identifies multiple contributing factors, including the aircraft's performance during takeoff. Together, these elements created a chain of events that within seconds led to a situation impossible to recover from. The accident raises a concern with the aviation industry, especially regarding the detection of personal problems in the pilots, highlighting the need for more effective systems to identify risks before they reach the cockpit. Today, Carson Air continues operating, but Flight 66 remains a warning, a reminder that aviation safety depends on multiple layers of protection, and that when one of them fails, the consequences can be irreversible. In aviation, even the most routine flights can become tragedies when technical and human factors combine at the worst possible moment.